And we're live. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us on this week's webinar. In fact, this month's webinar with our latest addition to the team, David Jaynes. I will give people a little bit more time to funnel in, but I'm glad we're having this discussion today, David.
Yeah, I'm stoked to be here. Obviously, like we worked together before in past agencies, and I think it's really cool that we're kind of melding the minds here at Harvest ROI to talk about some cool operational HubSpot stuff.
Yeah. HubSpot is becoming a little bit, let's say, expansive and complex. So people definitely are looking forward to the advice on how to buy the right portal for them.
Yeah,
And because we've seen a lot of cases where people bought the wrong portal and could not achieve their business goals. So
for sure. Well, I mean, it's a good problem to have that HubSpot changes features and models so quickly because it's better than staying static for years and years and not adding feature updates and things like that. But yeah, to your point, definitely run into the fact that sometimes a specific feature that's pretty important gets moved to a different hub or a different tier. And so just always good to make sure that we're still level setting what lives where. And yeah.
so I guess it's a good time to get started. Um, my name's Salim Malouf. I am Director of Marketing here at Harvest ROI. And joining me is David Jaynes, our newest solutions consultant in the sales team. David brings a lot of experience from enterprise selling, and he'll be better at talking about that. So, David, tell the people more about your experience.
Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, I'm new to Harvest ROI, but definitely not new to the HubSpot partner ecosystem. I've been in the HubSpot partner side for about 4 years now. And so it's been this really interesting lens into HubSpot's platform changes and this real shift from each individual tool to this really all-in-one operational machine that it is today. And so, yeah, I think the cool thing about being in the agencies that I've been with is I see a lot of more technical and operationally focused projects come through. And so I have a lot of experience and exposure to some of the fringe cases of how you can really stretch HubSpot to its limits and some of the cool things you can do with that.
Yeah, we're excited to have you on our team. A quick reminder for those who are not familiar, we are Harvest ROI. We are a 3 times accredited Diamond HubSpot Solutions partner focused on RevOps and turning around portals that are at risk. We are 100% referral driven, and we are trusted by the customer success organizations at HubSpot to help them save at risk accounts. So, all in all, we know what bad portals look like, and we can help you definitely pick the right portal for you from the start and set it up in the correct way.
Yeah, one thing I'll add too, and one of the reasons that I landed at Harvest ROI is I think there's kind of this dilution between partners sometimes, where you have like the very traditional ad and marketing agencies that use HubSpot, and then you have kind of more like a Harvest ROI, which is more of this technically and operationally focused company. And so I think where we kind of set ourselves apart from some of the marketing agencies, for example, is like we don't do any kind of branding or content or design. We really focus on architecting the data model and the solutions architect or the systems architecture of HubSpot and your other tools to make sure that we're thinking about data first. And that's kind of the lens that we take on any of our projects, whether it's kind of triage and make better, or whether it's a net new HubSpot instance.
Yeah. David, you've been in many sales calls, as have I, but there's a lot of concerns when people are trying to spec out a HubSpot portal during the sales process. Tell us more about what are the most common concerns you see and what are the risks attached to them.
For sure. Well, I think the biggest concern and thing to think about from the beginning is just, am I buying the proper portions of HubSpot at the proper tiers to function with all of the business and operational needs that we need to solve. So, for example, we need to make sure that if we have a very specific data model and we need to be able to track very specific things, we need to make sure that we're buying like an enterprise hub for custom objects and which we'll talk more about, but just a way that we can make sure that we're tracking that. And because it's really important to make sure that as we're setting up the foundation, the foundation is something that is going to power the growth and the scale of your business operations for years and years to come. Nobody wants to, get a new whole migration to a new portal and get people using stuff, and then a year later have to do the whole song and dance again. And so, one of the benefits of working with like a partner, for example, is just we know HubSpot, we know all the ins and outs, and so what we focus on is understanding your business process from really a software agnostic standpoint, and then making recommendations on the HubSpot side to be able to support those operations. And so like in this example specifically, and kind of on the slides here, I think like, pricing is huge, right? HubSpot, I think, has been really, really competitive in price, but it's really important to understand how the pricing model works so that you don't, go way, way over on contacts or breeze actions and get a super surprise bill. And I think, the rest of it is understanding exactly how can we really plan out the operational structure from the beginning to make sure that, if we're talking about downstream impacts like reporting and analytics and getting people to adopt and use the system, we're building something from the start that can support everything that you're doing.
Yeah. So whenever you hear someone like David or myself telling you like, hey, one hub is not enough, you might need the second hub, it's because we've been in those situations before where people have bought not enough hubs and ended up needing to renegotiate their price to get an upgrade down the line. So the way we like to talk about all the HubSpot hubs is going through each one on its own merit and talking about what is available, what is the selling point of a hub, what are some other features that are included that are nice to have, and the main one that every hub is built on is the Smart CRM. The Smart CRM before Inbound 2025 used to be a pack-in with any hub purchase, but they've repackaged it and now it's a standalone SKU that you are able to purchase on its own or upgrade on its own. That way you can get if you're on a pro and you upgrade to enterprise, you'll get enterprise functionality without having to upgrade other hubs to do so.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I really like about the fact that they split out the CRM to be its own standalone feature is there are some businesses that just need a solid CRM, and they need to be able to have really solid data collection and really good ways to segment and things like that. And so I think what splitting out the Smart CRM from the other hubs really did was say, hey guys, maybe you're a really early on business, but we still need something that's pretty robust and able to capture a lot of specific data that we can like report on and make decisions with. Now we can just do that here instead of having to buy one of the other hubs and not really take advantage of any of the features that we're not going to use, right? So buying a sales hub just to use the CRM functionality, but not use any kind of pipelines, for example. Now we can just buy the CRM, get all of the great features inside of HubSpot as far as collecting data, storing your data, using your data, but it's very much more focused on that.
Yeah. In those situations that you mentioned, that companies just starting off, sometimes they don't need very advanced marketing automation tools or very advanced sales outreach tools, but an enterprise level CRM is always needed, and usually other competing offerings do not offer that CRM that is fit to purpose for these companies that might have a complicated sales model, complicated go to market strategy. So having the ability to purchase a higher tier of the CRM at the start before investing in other hubs is a good ramp to get more comfortable with the platform.
Yeah.
And migrate in the future to a more robust marketing automation platform on
Right.
HubSpot. or sales outreach platform on HubSpot.
For sure. Yeah. Well, like I said, it all goes back to the foundation, right? You probably wouldn't be, but some people would probably be shocked at how many large scale businesses still operate in spreadsheets, right?
Yeah.
Like how many people come in with either Excel or Google Sheets, and they track all of their business operations and their contacts and their opportunities in there. And I mean, I personally can't understand that, but
The spreadsheet feels comfortable, it feels safe, you feel in control, even though you're setting yourself up for a lot of manual work in the future.
exactly. Well, I think that's it, right? Is like ideally you're going to grow and you're going to scale,
Yeah,
and a spreadsheet is not a scalable solution.
it isn't.
It becomes untenable pretty quick at scale, and so I think when we look at really doing a foundation, even if we're not quite at the point where we want to do marketing automation, where we want to do sales pipelines, where we want to do ticket and support request handling, being able to set the foundation inside of a real built out CRM and then be able to expand upon that in the future, but have this really solid data architecture and foundation in place is huge to enable that.
Yeah. Ever since HubSpot introduced seat-based pricing, your level of smart CRM controlled the pricing of your core seat. That is still the case. So it will always be the level of your smart CRM, because if you get a Pro Hub, you get Smart CRM Pro. If you choose to upgrade Smart CRM to Enterprise, your core seat will be Enterprise. So if we're talking about pricing, the Smart CRM controls your core seat price. But there's a lot of reasons why people choose to upgrade to Enterprise. Um, the most important and the thing that everybody used to try to find ways to access before Smart CRM was a standalone is custom objects. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think in being in kind of the portion of the ecosystem that deals exclusively with custom data models and a lot of more out of the box or more than out of the box configurations of HubSpot, custom objects are huge. I think that to define that for anybody who doesn't know who's listening, a standard object inside of HubSpot are your contacts, your companies, your deals, your tickets. And actually, I was going to say, and they're pretty much always that, but now you can rename standard objects.
Yeah.
But custom objects are a really good way of capturing other components of your business that are important to you at a really granular and detailed level, like your contacts and your companies. And then being able to tie those into other objects and things like that. And so big example we see pretty frequently is in the healthcare space, like a dentist office. It could be this parent company, but then they've got 15 locations. And so one of the ways that we can track that is, building a custom object for locations and then associating any of the locations for that company to the company. It's a really good way to basically just do granular drill down level reporting and really keep that in check. But
Yeah.
I think custom objects is a huge way to make sure that we're not trying to fit your business into HubSpot. It's building HubSpot around how your business operates.
Yeah. My favorite use case for custom objects, and I've seen that in two places. It's very obvious use case is fleet management, but when your fleet is not made up of cars, but from either horses or snakes, that becomes a fun little use case. So you can track your horse stable or your existing inventory of pet snakes.
Yeah.
Those have been like fun projects to embark on.
Yeah, for sure. Been a part of some horse projects, which I always find fascinating. So
Yeah. We did a snake project not too long ago.
sweet.
Yeah.
Love that.
So now you've got your CRM. You want to do something with it other than just store data inside of it. Um, the start of HubSpot was as a marketing automation platform and grew into the CRM juggernaut that it is today. But we have to start with Marketing Hub, which was the thing that kickstarted HubSpot. Usually the selling points of Marketing Hub, people know they need Marketing Hub. If you're running campaigns and want to manage them inside of your MAP, which is Marketing Studio, if you want to manage your social media, if you want to manage your events, And if you want to do lead scoring, that's when you gravitate towards Marketing Hub. Marketing Hub has lots more features, but these are typically the things that people think about when they go to Marketing Hub. Um, with Marketing Hub, we also introduced the concept of marketing contacts. And that's the way that HubSpot kind of meters the usage inside of Marketing Hub. Um, David, can you explain a little bit more what's the difference between normal contacts and marketing contacts and kind of the limits for both?
Yeah, for sure. So I think HubSpot makes it really, really simple to understand what you're getting billed for on the contact side. You only get billed for contacts that you're actively marketing to. And the good thing about HubSpot is it actually makes it super simple because it's literally just a field that says, is this marketing contact, yes or no? And why that's important is because it really allows you to have a lot of control over, if we're marketing to a specific segment of people, we don't have to pay for people that we're not focusing on, that we're not engaging with, but we don't have to delete them from the CRM. So they can live on. We can have all that historical data, which is always really, really nice. But you're only paying for people that you're actively really trying to engage with and target. So I think that's a really important exercise that we always run through is, hey, let's make sure that we're right sizing which contacts you're actually using. So you're not getting charged for contacts on a monthly basis that you're not really targeting.
Yeah. And it kind of unlocks and unleashes other parts of the CRM to not be tied down to, limited number of contacts. Other hubs thrive on having all your data in the CRM, and having, marketing contacts kind of lets you not worry about just putting everything in, instead of trying to meter that out like you've mentioned. Taking a step back, a lot of people jump into Marketing Pro, which has the social media tool, has the lead scoring app, allows advanced personalization, it unlocks custom reporting, and you get Marketing Studio with it. But sometimes you feel like you want more control over your attribution reporting, or you want to understand your customer journey analytics. Those are typically gated behind the Marketing Hub Enterprise tier.
Yeah. I mean, I think that when we're talking about customizing your business around HubSpot, similar to custom objects, just the ability to do custom attribution models that really support what's important to understanding how your customers are interacting with your content, how they're coming into your system, when they make sense to engage with. It's really the same as custom objects, right? It's making sure that we're fitting HubSpot to support your process and not the other way around. And so that's kind of the benefit of enterprise. I think one thing I would say broadly about Marketing Hub that we see really, really frequently is the fact that what we find for people who don't have Marketing Hub is they've got a lot of disparate tools that are doing a lot of individual functions of your marketing operations, right? You've got an email sending tool, you've got a campaign manager, you've got a social tool, you've got, insert other marketing function here. But I think that one of the things about HubSpot and one of the benefits of it being this marketing automation juggernaut that's been in the ecosystem for 20 years or whatever it is now, is they have all of that natively inside of HubSpot, right? And so I think it becomes less of a question of can HubSpot do this thing? And it's more, let's make sure that we're supporting our process with all of the necessary pieces inside of HubSpot to do those things. So it's a really great way to consolidate your tech stack. I think that's always a benefit. The less screens that marketers have to jump through, or any rep has to jump through, the better. And obviously there's a huge cost component there too, where instead of paying 7 different subscriptions for 7 individual pieces of functionality, you can use HubSpot to really do it all under one roof. And that's going to be a big theme for a lot of today's call. Spoiler alert there. So
also, if you have 7 disparate tools, you have 7 different databases that you need to sync and connect. The big benefit of working inside of HubSpot is that all the hubs are built on top of the smart CRM, and every hub is working off of the same data. They don't have their individual databases and tables that they run. Everything runs from the same CRM, so it makes everything easier to track.
Yeah, inconsistent.
Yeah. HubSpot started in marketing, but their next endeavor was launching the Sales Hub with the CRM. Sales Hub today is on its own better described as your pipeline management and sales outreach tool. It used to be synonymous with the CRM, but now that the CRM is a standalone, Sales Hub has become more specialized into helping sales teams manage their day-to-day. Usually, the key features are the sales workspace and the accompanying dashboards, the sequencing tool inside of HubSpot, and anyone who's running ABM campaigns, target accounts are very interesting. Recently, David, how has the conversation changed when talking about Sales Hub from before, where it was tied with the CRM, and now it's its own standalone pipeline management tool?
For sure. Well, I think in general that just comes down to clarity, right? Like I think that when you say CRM, it doesn't. I think historically HubSpot has said, "Oh, that's inherently our sales component," but it doesn't mean that traditionally, right? We were talking about just really a platform to store our data, and then there's a lot of sales enablement functions and features that go along with a completely different process, different teams, things like that. So I think on the sales side, the sales workspace does a really great job of showing all of the different components of what being a seller inside of HubSpot looks like. I mean, like from the highest level, it's revenue, right? As a seller, love revenue. Revenue's great. But I think that it's everything to make sure that we're capturing all of the steps and the components that make up. Somebody comes into our system. Now we can track how do they interact with us? How do we interact with them? And what downstream is really working from the marketing side to say, something comes in from the website. Now we can track the entire process and do a ton of different reporting and automation to understand how to best target folks and kind of make those adjustments. That's another reason why having this consolidated platform is really great. It's ideal, right? If you can track, the more of the customer journey you can track from the marketing end to whether they stay with you forever or churn or whatever that looks like, the better, because you just get more insight, more analytics, more individual data points that give you more total data to inform decisions of the business.
Yeah. Unlike Marketing Hub, that is basically a subscription plus marketing contacts, Sales Hub is a seat-based hub, independent of the core seat model. So if you need to use the sales tools inside of Sales Hub, you need to be assigned a sales seat. Between professional and enterprise, Sales Hub used to be the quickest shortcut towards custom objects, but now that it's an independent feature inside of the CRM, what is the key feature that pushes people to go from professional to enterprise?
For sure. Yeah, I actually see playbooks as a really good opportunity typically. Playbooks, to explain it, is basically a formatted way to capture data that's consistent across teams and reps. So for example, if we have a sales process and we have a BDR who needs to ask specific qualifying questions, we can have a playbook that lists all of those questions where they can type directly into and capture all of that data consistently. What you get in the jump between professional and enterprise is the ability to store all of that captured data inside of properties directly. And so that's really good, because then, anytime we get structured data into a property on the CRM, you get reporting, you get analytics, you get automation that you can base off of it. And so it just unlocks a lot more. And I think that's really the point of Sales Hub Enterprise now, is it's not that you get a lot of additional features, but it's taking a lot of features that you get in professional and really adding additional functionality to them and the ability to do cooler, more expansive and custom things with those functionalities.
Yeah. For anyone thinking about how the playbooks function in enterprise, they behave similarly to how marketing forms behave. So you're able to fill out those fields and immediately feed the data inside of the CRM records.
Yeah.
Um, After Sales Hub, uh, HubSpot branched into the service industry. While Service Hub in the past looked slightly different, today its main feature is the new and evolving help desk. For the longest time, even HubSpot as a company used a third party tool, but now they're fully committed to making Service Hub the best help desk tool you can find in the market. Uh, Other than the help desk, also the ability to do surveys and an access to the customer portal, which is basically a private portal that your clients can sign into, and then they can submit and track tickets that you can manage in a ticket pipeline. Um, I know Service Hub is not something we talk about a lot, but do you have any insight on the benefits of Service Hub beyond the straightforward application of help desk?
Yeah, for sure. Well, and it's funny you say that we don't talk about it a lot because I do think that's true, but I do think that's changing because as you know, we've kind of talked already about keeping as much inside of one platform for consistency's sake. That's where service kind of continues to marry that process and really hold the hand until they, churn or they stay forever, right? Specifically, I think you touched on something that I am a big fan of, which is customer portals. Have a lot of experience with building custom portals where folks can log in and track their submitted tickets and statuses and things like that. And I think that really the overall goal is just to take as much of your current service function and stick it inside where reps have full context of your customer, how they came into the system, their conversations through sales, their conversations through onboarding, and make sure that it's a good customer experience, that they don't feel like they're having to be redundant and say a million things they've said to a million different people, because now your reps can just see all of those conversations and leverage that. More specifically, I think that having Service Hub today is really two-pronged, right? It's the regular support tickets and things like that, but it's also proactive account management and the ability to really have a CS team that can track the health of the customers and make sure that we can identify churn way before it happens so that we can hopefully remediate it and reduce churn, which is obviously huge. Last thing I'll kind of mention before I hand it back over to you is I think that what Service Hub has done a really good job of is adding a lot of additional components that you would traditionally think of in separate tools. So for example, being able to reference your knowledge base and have that live inside of HubSpot now is great. Ticketing, where it might have been like a Jira feeding into your CRM in the past, is now something that can live directly into HubSpot. Shared inboxes, I already mentioned NPS and customer health. But yeah, I think all of those different things, it's just how can we take as much functionality from as many disparate tools today and put that in one centralized place for our reps.
Yeah, honestly, the smallest feature that I see people really enjoy and appreciate, especially the users, not necessarily the admins, are the AI powered summaries that you can get inside of Help Desk that can give you the context of every interaction that customer has had with the
Yeah.
organization. That way, they come in well armed and prepared, and they don't ask the same questions that we've asked them 500 times, and can go straight to resolving the issue at hand.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I mean, as a rep, you never want to come into something and feel unprepared
Yeah.
because that makes it a worse experience for you. There's more stress on the interaction itself. And so, yeah, being able to have like that really at a glance history of everything that's kind of gone on and how we've got to this point really empowers service reps or any other reps in any of the hubs really to say,
Yeah.
cool, I understand fully. Like I've got a grasp. I know what's happening here, and so now I feel strong that I can resolve it effectively.
Yeah. Um, Going into professional, you get all the features that we've mentioned, but for enterprise, for more bigger, robust teams that have maybe specializations or have special situations where different service level agreements apply, that's your trigger to look into going into Enterprise Service Hub. And same as Sales Hub, Service Hub is a seat-based hub. So each service rep you want to assign tickets to or have reply to tickets, etc., will need a Service Hub seat.
Yeah. I think
So
like the way to tie that off is just if you're thinking about a seller having a sales seat, it's the same thing for your service reps.
yeah,
They need a seat to be able to do their specific job functions inside of HubSpot.
yeah. Marketing, sales, and service kind of is like the trifecta and the core of revenue operations. But there's a lot of other pieces of the puzzle that are needed that do not necessarily, live under the traditional like revenue org structure inside of a company. One of which is Content Hub. Content Hub, for those who know it better as HubSpot CMS Hub, um, in the past year or two, HubSpot kind of took the CMS and added more powerful content based features inside of the package to make the package a bit more enticing, since a lot of people were looking at HubSpot CMS as like a premium solution versus other, quote unquote free solutions out there, even though those free solutions necessitate, a lot of additional paid plugins, and you're taking the burden of hosting your own website and managing security on your website, etc. So now with Content Hub, you have access to HubSpot CMS that is a headache-free managed service that you can host your website in. And the CMS, the content management system, is a drag and drop. So you don't have to be a coder to be able to build really good looking website pages that kind of deliver on your marketing promises. But the website piece is not all. Recently, they added, with this push towards a content marketing focused plan, podcast hosting inside of HubSpot. So now, even hosting your content, you don't have to do it outside of HubSpot. And Content Remix, which is honestly, when I first demoed it a year and a half ago, I felt it was not ready for prime time. But today, it's an amazing tool to help smaller teams do more with less. The trend right now is do more with less, and it can help you take one piece of content from one specific format in one specific channel and turn it into multiple other formats for distribution in other channels. Things like turning a video into an email or a social media post, or into a blog post, or taking a landing page and making social media posts, the typical motions that every marketing team goes through. Now you can speed that up with Content Remix. Now, Content Hub and the CMS is straightforward on the professional side. You get one domain, and you get the tools that you might need for a successful website, like smart content for pages, etc. But if you're an organization that has multiple sites or multiple business units that need individual sites, you might want to go the enterprise route to go up to 10 sites. Or if you are looking to add special functionality to your website that has the ability to go into your CRM and surface relevant data based on who is browsing the page, then you will need enterprise for serverless functions. I know, David, you had tell us more about serverless functions. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. Yeah, I think that obviously because we're not a web agency, we use a lot of Content Hub for a lot of different reasons. And I think to Salim's point, serverless functions is a really big one. When we are talking about, for example, like custom integrations, we see serverless functions all the time. And what that is from a really, really high level is they're like mini backend APIs that you can kind of call from anywhere. And so in comparison to custom code, where it's very action based, and something happens in system A, do something, look up something in system B. It's very much more like, hey, we want to do something in closer to real time, and so we need this basically like custom API that's available that other systems can actually ping and do things with, and then also kind of couple that most of the time with custom coded actions that are included in Ops Hub too. But yeah, I think that's a very common use case where we see serverless functions is just custom integrations.
Yeah, my favorite use case for these is, and we've built a couple of I've built a couple of projects in a past life where we're replicating the Amazon buying experience for B2B big ticket companies. So you log in, and on the website you get to track all of your orders. You get to understand which one of them is ready for shipping, which one is out for delivery, get tracking links, etc. And all of that was powered by serverless functions and HubDB,
Mhm.
which is a lookup table tool specific for Content Hub that allows you to create lookup tables to power some of your smart content.
One thing real quick before we move on from Content Hub that I want to
Yep.
call out that I actually realize is not on this slide is in professional, you also get custom portals. And similar to how we talked about custom portals in the Service Hub side, where it's very ticket oriented, person can log in, see the status of their tickets, so on and so forth. I think that Content Hub portals are really cool because you can do so many things with them and really custom tailor a million different use cases. So, I mean, like really broad example is being able to like gate content behind a login, right? You want to be able to distribute specific things or specific resources or memberships or things like that. You can power all of that with HubSpot custom portals that come with professional. One of the other cool ways that we've seen it work in the past is having like portal access for other arms of outside reps that you can basically standardize their data collection efforts so that you can have it consistent with your CRM data. So to be specific, we've seen it with like a distributor portal, for example, right?
Yeah.
We have a company who uses distributors log leads inside of the portal. And now, because we're logging those inside of this portal, all of that's pushing directly into HubSpot. And so now we have a lot of specific visibility on how many leads are coming in from each distributor, how big are those leads, what's the quality, and like how are they closing from when they come in. And so I love custom portals because there's a lot of non-web based use cases to do custom solutions for really the whole business.
Yeah. One thing that's important to distinguish, the customer portal that we mentioned as part of Service Hub is an out-of-the-box, ready-to-go, configurable by a normal HubSpot admin portal that only serves tickets to your clients. The custom content hub portals that we're talking about will require the help of a web developer to help you design and put together those portals. But to be able to use those functionalities, you will need at least Content Hub Pro.
You got it.
Yeah. Data Hub, or how others used to know it as Operations Hub. Operations Hub was an interesting hub that popped up 2 years ago. And the evolution of HubSpot into what they describe as a customer platform, Operations Hub was a necessary hub to add. This is where your data engineers live. This is where your developers live. This is where everyone who's dealing with the complicated, dare I say, nerdy stuff inside of HubSpot, they're going to be living inside of Data Hub. Data Hub recently got a big new addition called Data Studio, which is a place where you can manage your data sets independent from the CRM, be able to do a lot of ETL work that you would necessarily want to do in an outside platform, or if you're a smaller organization, you might end up doing in a spreadsheet. Now you can do it inside of Data Studio and have that data not just come from inside of your CRM, but come from external connections that you have to the CRM, things like like a Google Sheet, things like a data warehouse, things like your service tool if you're not using Service Hub. So you have the ability to do ETL work, which is extraction, transformation, and loading of data inside of Data Hub without affecting your CRM if you don't want to. The other thing that kind of sold Operations Hub at the time, now called Data Hub, was the access to custom coded workflow actions. Those kind of like blew the door wide open on the possibilities inside of HubSpot. Some people felt limited by the workflows tool, even though it's a really powerful tool, but there are some actions that they feel like, no, I want to do it this exact specific way. If you have the development capabilities, Data Hub unlocks that for you, and you'll be able to do custom code that triggers inside of a workflow, and you can and it's inside of the workflow tool that you're used to.
Yeah. I want to add one thing there because I love custom code workflow actions. I think the biggest use case we see is just integrations, custom integrations.
Yeah.
It basically unlocked the ability to say, if there's an accessible API in the tool that we're trying to connect to, now we can write a workflow action that has custom code to say, cool, when somebody updates this field or enters a form or something in this other tool, now we can do all of these other cool things in HubSpot and say, all right, great. Now we need to update records. We need to create something. We need to automate something else. And the other way around, right? So it's a really good way to be bi-directional on how we can actually share data across systems. And yeah, I mean, it's huge. And obviously, because we're a technical HubSpot partner that's developer focused, we use custom coded actions all the time.
Yeah,
all the time.
Yeah. So if you want access to this, Data Hub Pro is the best place to start. But Data Hub Enterprise, if you ever feel like you want more complex calculations inside of your data sets, if you are looking to do out of the box integrations with external data warehouses like Snowflake, like Google Data Studio, or AWS Redshift, you will need the enterprise subscription. But Data Hub Professional is very powerful, and it might be a good idea to start there and figure out what are the things you need.
Yeah. I think one thing I'd add there is just, I mean, there are always going to be use cases where it makes more sense to use a dedicated ETL tool. But I think that one of the benefits of having that now natively live inside of HubSpot, at least in some capacity, is just the theme of the rest of the call, right? It's tech stack consolidation. It's one less tool that we have to bring in and have be another component of the tech stack. And so instead of having something where it's like, I have Snowflake, and to get my data into HubSpot from Snowflake, now I have to use like High Touch or something like
Touch,
that. Yeah, exactly. Now we can at least, and especially for Snowflake specifically, because it's very well built out in Data Hub. But now we can just pull all of that directly from Snowflake by integrating HubSpot instead of having to have this middle component. But yeah, so I think it just unlocks a ton of really cool options, even if it's not going to be a good fit for every single potential customer.
Yeah. Now away from the nerdy stuff, now we're back into our quote to cash, experience. After you want to close, like just before you want to close, you want to quote. So if you're looking for a quoting tool, Commerce Hub, the new revamped AI-powered quoting tool, is here. It has the CPQ, which has tiered pricing, quote templates, and a lot of things. Not all the things, but a lot of the things that you might need to do your quoting in line with your sales activities inside of HubSpot. Now, the reason why I say not all of the things is because Commerce Hub in its current form is early in its development roadmap. And right now it's a good tool, but there are a lot of pieces that are on the roadmap that have yet to come, things like price books. So that might be a deal breaker for you. But if you're used to HubSpot's development pace. Features are coming out every single day, and the development roadmap is not that far along. So, um, do you, this is a recent addition and change. Commerce Hub used to be simply HubSpot payments. Now it's a fully fledged AI powered CPQ. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, well, I think that what it's really done is as HubSpot's continued to build out like a ton of different features and functionality inside of their different hubs, what they're finding is that there are easier ways to group things that make it more understandable. I know that it's been pretty controversial, and I totally understand why. But I mean, like a lot of the pieces inside of Commerce Hub were basically pulled out of Sales Hub. And I think that one of the reasons for that is just to be like way more clear about what it actually includes. With Sales Hub, it's very much about the process of leading somebody through your buying process. With Commerce Hub, it's very much about the individual actions and needed components of being able to send quotes and do approvals and collect signatures and payments and, you know, kind of track the finance side that's associated with it too. So I think, like, I'm not going to say whether I agree or disagree with them splitting it out, but I think that's the big thing to think about is just Commerce Hub is doing the job of taking a lot of the great functions from Sales Hub that have existed, quotes, especially payments, things like that, and just kind of having it be its own standalone and specific function and hub. I think we're going to talk about it more, but one of the things I think is really exciting because it's a pretty notorious gap within HubSpot is the addition of CPQ. Being able to really have permission-based and specific action-based rules surrounding what quotes and products you're selling is like pretty basic functionality. You would think some of the bigger the other platforms, not even bigger at this point, but the other platforms have that natively. And in the past, HubSpot's great partner ecosystem and software app partners have done a good job, like Happily and Deal Hub and things like that. But to have that finally live within Commerce Hub and HubSpot natively is just such a big immediate quality of life improvement over having nothing in the past.
Yeah. Commerce Hub is also similar to Sales Hub, and Service Hub is a seat-based hub. And the main differences currently in its current state between professional and enterprise is enterprise has advanced quote-based workflow approval workflows. So you, instead of having a blanket approval by a specific person or a specific set of people based on the criteria inside of your quote, you can choose who are the right people to sign off on this. And if you have multi-level sign-offs as well, you can do those with Commerce Hub Enterprise. But currently, a lot of the functionality beyond approvals is also available in Professional.
Yeah, I think one thing I want to add on there that I think is a benefit, obviously it's kind of unfortunate that it got split out of Sales Hub into its own thing from a billing standpoint. But I think one of the benefits on Commerce Hub is that there's not really too much in enterprise, at least right now. So you get a ton of value on the professional tier, where it's really being able to run your entire quoting process, quote to cash. And I think that's great because right now you don't have to feel like, FOMO of saying, oh, well, I'm not spending twice as much and getting half the functionality. It's really, hey, I'm still paying a little bit more than I would have if it was Sales Hub, but the depth of feature and functionality that you're getting for it is a lot of value.
Yep. We've talked about the Smart CRM and 6 of the hubs. HubSpot also offers what they call customer platform bundles, which are basically a bundle offer for all of the hubs, including a specific number of core seats, that sometimes might make more sense for you if you're looking to implement, let's say, 3 or 4 hubs. Then the bundles might start making sense because for the same price, you'll be getting 2 additional hubs with more functionality. I know you've sold a lot in the enterprise, and in the enterprise, this kind of bundle is very common. can you tell us more about like the thought process behind it, and if someone's hesitant to feel like, oh, I don't need these two additional hubs, uh, why would they actually opt for a bundle like this?
For sure. Well, I think this talking point is really the bow on top of the rest of this conversation, because as we've alluded to many times throughout the talk here, like the biggest goal for a lot of organizations as they continue to grow and scale is to really reduce how many different tools they have. And that's a benefit of the bundle of HubSpot, right? Because HubSpot now, its current state, has so many different individual components that can really support the entirety of the organization, except for probably like finance, which, you know, that's a whole other
Yeah.
topic. But yeah, and so I think it's just, if we can't, even if current state today is we are using, you know, our marketing team and our sales team are using it, but maybe we have a service team and they're using like Zendesk and Jira or whatever other combination, by making the decision to do kind of this big suite play, I mean, it's bundles, right? Pricing's always going to make more sense. I mean, I think I still have a home like landline phone number that I don't even know, because I get better pricing for having a phone bundled into my internet. But yeah, it's that, right? Like, you're not losing anything. You're typically going to pay less, as we've also talked about through a lot of the rest of this conversation. There are individual components in some of the different hubs and tiers that, you know, it might be nice. For example, like if we're talking about like Content Hub, being able to use serverless functions and having that included, even if that's the only thing that you're using, is such a tremendously valuable thing for your organization, if it's a necessary piece, right? So I think that it's just, why not get all of the tools and give yourself this additional runway to be able to further adopt HubSpot and grow and scale the team natively on the tool in the future, and save a couple bucks while you're at it.
Yep. We've talked about almost every piece of HubSpot, but there is a new aspect to HubSpot, especially with the new push in AI technologies. We have today something called HubSpot credits. If you've used a lot of AI tools in in the world today, almost all of them have some sort of credit based system, because all of these workflows need compute power, and that compute power is a cost of goods sold for them. So uh, these types of pricing structures make sense when the functionality might be cost prohibitive to offer. That's the compromise that we can find to be able to do that. You can see on the slide is the current menu of you know things and actions inside of HubSpot that might consume credits. The most I'm not going to say the most important, the most famous one is Customer Agent. Uh, if you're used to traditional chat flows, Customer Agent can slot in either on the chat on your website. Now, Customer Agent can be assigned to email channels, can be assigned to phone channels. This is a very recent development, but if you need an automated concierge service that can answer some of your more basic queries while allowing your reps to focus on the higher level escalations, Customer Agent is amazing at that, and that costs credits. You're a sales guy, David, so a prospecting agent is really good at doing the might I say the boring work of looking up information about a company, trying to figure out all of that. Prospecting agent is amazing at that.
Yeah.
We have a little typo here. It's not prospecting agent, but data agent can help you do deep research on a specific company. Um, we also have uh, AI powered workflow actions that you can basically write a prompt inside of the action and get an output based on an input, and do either continue your workflow or make branching decisions. That as well requires credits. If you're familiar with the buyer intent tool, that's also a credit-based tool. We talked about data agent, but there's also something called smart properties, where you can, using a prompt, either go online or search your CRM or your call transcripts and get a value for that property and place it inside of it. That also consumes credits. And last but not least, if you're doing external syncs uh, from Data Studio, depending on the size of those syncs, you'll either spend 25 credits, 75 credits, or 200 credits.
Yeah, I
With
think
all of these, yeah, go ahead.
one thing I want to call out just real quick is just that as AI becomes more naturally implemented and infused within businesses and their processes, I think like in the same way that we as a technical partner have always planned like different pipelines, different marketing automation, different things that need to happen in the architecture, I think that it's really interesting these days to see kind of like the opportunities with AI and how we can start infusing that into our solutions planning, right? Because now instead of saying, yeah, we have this rep that needs to do this thing and this thing and this thing, now it can be, all right, well, now we have AI that does this thing. And then once it gets to a certain point, then we go more hands-on with it and it just makes it more efficient, right?
Yeah.
One of the ways that we've been talking about it recently that we're kind of thinking about it is like, think of closed loss nurtures, right? I think that we're fortunate in that like we have a very good volume of leads coming in and stuff like that. But that means that sometimes it's a little bit harder to want to make the time and kind of use some of that time and energy to go reach out to people who frankly like probably don't want to talk to us or something, right? There's a great opportunity in the AI space where it's like, okay, great. Now we have a prospecting agent that can kind of do those nurture campaigns and really kind of like re-warm individual people up and use all of the data and historical data inside of HubSpot to say, okay, here's how we interacted with them in the past. We did a full deal. We got to this point. We talked about these things. We lost it because X, Y, Z. And now prospecting agent can go out and say, hey, you talked to us 6 months ago and you didn't want to talk to us then because whatever. Do you want to talk now? And now the benefit for the seller is that like they're not spending time reaching out to people who are admittedly like very low chance of converting back over to an active opportunity. But more so, they can say, hey, this person we reached out to, and now they're raising their hand and saying, yeah, we actually do want to talk. And then they can kind of organically bring the seller in and be more efficient to make sure that they're not wasting time on prospecting folks that have a low chance of converting.
Yeah. Like you mentioned, there's a lot of things we can do with these tools, and that means planning ahead is very important. Similar to marketing contacts, HubSpot credits are tier based, so you need to plan what your usual average amount of activities is, and not necessarily how many total activities you want to do, because credits don't carry over. So you got to make sure that you don't exceed your own tier, or you'll get auto upgraded. So making sure that you plan out on average each month how many credits you need goes a long way in getting those beforehand, because if you go into overages, the pricing kind of like quadruples, and it quickly stops making sense. So with everything that we said here today, David, any parting thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think that it's just cool to be in a time where HubSpot can do pretty much everything. And so obviously that comes with the caveat of needing to be able to understand that full capability and get recommendations on how that can best support the business. But yeah, I think that's where we can come in and harvest ROI. Whether you're a current HubSpot customer who isn't getting the most out of their HubSpot, or data's messy, or processes are incomplete, or adoption's not high, we can help remediate that. And then for new folks who don't have HubSpot yet, I think that it's good to work with a partner like Harvest ROI to make sure that we're planning it from the ground up the right way the first time, so that you don't end up in a couple of years with a lot of the headaches of scale and lack of adoption that we run into pretty frequently. So yeah, obviously there's some QR codes on the screen, one for the general Harvest ROI contact us, and then one to book a call with me directly. But I would love to talk to anybody about any of the future things here, or any things that we've discussed today. And feel free to add me on LinkedIn. And yeah, I appreciate you having me on.
Thanks so much for joining us today, David. And thank you for everyone who joined us live. Make sure to tune in for our webinar next month, where we are joined by Simple Events, a very simple event management tool that helps you manage events inside of HubSpot. Thank you, everyone.